Hey guys, today we have a palette wardrobe tag. This was created by Morgan Turner and Charlotte Holdcroft, but I originally saw It's Just Stuff do this video, and she also added 5 extra prompts to this, so I will have all of their channels listed in the description box down below if you want to go ahead and check them out. If you want to hear the palettes that I picked, it's just listing a bunch of prompts and picking a palette to go with those prompts. That is all there is to it. As always, the makeup that's on my face will be listed in the description box. It was actually a palette bingo with my friend Corey. We used the Conspiracy palette, so I randomly drew the shades My Rides Here, Flaming Hot, Food Videos, What's the Tea, and Ranch. And then I added 2 minty single shadows to the lid. So I think for some random shades, it turned out super nicely. This one won't be in the ranking. I just wanted to show you guys that I did that with my friend Corey. She didn't do the palette bingo. This was more just me picking some random shades, but I was really happy with how the look turned out. So everything else that's on my face will be listed in the description box. And as always, if you like makeup unboxings with a little bit of horror sprinkled in, please consider subscribing, as I would love to have you here. And let's just go and get into this tag. All right, so like I said, there's 15 little situations, and you had to pick a palette for each of them. So the first one is wedding or guests at a wedding. If I were to get remarried, which hopefully I do, I would love to use my Pan That palette, which I don't have any new pans, so this isn't really a spoiler for July, but this is what it looks like. This is the Huda Beauty New Nudes palette. I love every look that I make with this palette. I've loved having this out on my desk. I'm honestly surprised that I'm not sick of using this palette yet. It gives the most romantic looks, and I just think that this is a perfect wedding look. If I was a guest at a wedding, I mean, it would probably just be something neutral, something more toned down, but for my wedding, this would be the palette that I would have to go for. All right, and then the next prompt is date night. And usually date night for me, it just depends on what I'm wearing. Will depend on the palette, or if I already had a palette picked out for the day, then I'll plan my outfit around that. But if I just had to pick a palette, I really like to use my Pat McGrath Celestial Nirvana palette. This is a very expensive palette. I did get this sent in PR, and I got it on my birthday last year. It's the only eyeshadow palette I have from the brand, and it's just, this palette is super special to me, so I like to save it for special occasions, like a date night, so this one would have to be it for me. And it's so versatile, you can do so many different kinds of looks with it anyway. The next prompt is girls' night, and for that, let me move all of these on over without dropping any palettes. Girls' night to me screams hot pink. So for that, I had to go with my Jeffree Star Pink Religion palette. Again, as you guys know, I got this secondhand, as all of my Jeffree Star palettes that I mentioned got secondhand. Think what you want about him and his brand. I totally understand. It is what it is. But this palette to me is all the pinky goodness. I do wish there were a little more shimmers. That's my downfall of a lot of his palettes, is I just wish there were more shimmers. But this screams girls' night. Hot pink, girly vibes. That's what this gives. So that's why I went with this one, because that's what it gives. The next prompt is a vacation, and to me, not only the packaging screams vacation, but the color story. This is the Ace Beauté Tropical Vibes palette, and there is the packaging, and this is the color story. And you can just, it's so versatile. This formula, this is their updated formula. I never tried their original formula, but this formula is absolutely stunning. You need the tiniest bit. Like, I'm sure I will have these eyeshadows for my entire life. These are just so good. The shimmers, I do wish there was 1 or 2 more in here, but the ones that they have are great. These mattes are wonderful. This screams vacation vibes to me. Next prompt is graduation. Now, I didn't attend my own graduation. I didn't walk or anything. But when I think of graduation, I think of like elevated neutrals. So for that, I picked the Violet Voss Essentials 2 palette. It's short, sweet, concise. You have your row of neutrals, and then you have a little bit of color if you want to spice it up just a little bit. But this is a very soft and sweet palette. It's nothing too crazy. This was my pan that palette last year that I sort of did. I got a alright dip on these first two shades, but no actual pans in anything. But the palette was brand new, so like I did alright. I got some use on it. But this is a really beautiful palette, and I think it would be perfect for that occasion. The next one is Christmas Day, and when I tell you, hear me out, because I feel like I might be stretching this a little bit, but when you think of Christmas, you quintessentially think of red and green, right? Which I agree, but I don't have any like quintessential Christmas palettes. But what I also think about when I think of Christmas is like blue, because like it's icy, it's snowy, it's winter. Blue vibes give me Christmas vibes. So because of that, which if you don't agree with blue for Christmas, I totally understand, and maybe blue is a cop-out to some people, but I feel like blue is a Christmas color, and so did my friend. So I went with the Jeffree Star Blue Blood palette because like this gives me Christmas vibes. You could also do some neutrals if you're more into a neutrally Christmas, but this gives me icy, frosty looks. I was almost gonna pick the ColourPop Blue Moon palette because of that like the Billie Jean shade, that like silvery blue, but blues for Christmas. I am all for it. No reds and greens. Blues for Christmas. That's what we're doing here. Let me know if you agree in the comments, or if I'm all alone with that. The next prompt is birthday party. And for me, I think I wear this almost every year on my birthday. And that's my favorite ColourPop palette, the Lilac You A Lot palette. I love this. It's one of my favorites. Purple palettes in general. It's my favorite ColourPop palette. I love wearing my absolute tippy-top favorites on my birthday, so this is always a standout. I've worn it a couple years. It's a go-to. I don't go to an office, but the next prompt is office. So what I would be thinking is neutrals. So for that, I'm pulling out my Lash Step Matte About You neutrals palette. So this is an all matte palette, but as you can see, it has every neutral you could imagine. And again, you could dress this up. I have 167 or 8 single shadows and like liquids and super shocks and all of that, all of my singles. I have so many. So this would be perfect. Dress it up with one shimmer on the lid with one of those, and you're good to go. This has all the neutrals you could need for the office. I think that that's a perfect pairing, in my opinion. Number 9 is Errands or Everyday Go-To. And I think this would be a good one, because if I wore my makeup every day, granted, I love color. I love wearing color every day. Like, I will leave the house like this. I will leave the house in crazy looks. But I think if I were to just wear it every day, like day to day, because I don't, more neutrals would find their way into my life. So this is the Cab Cosmetics Day and Night palette. And I love these, like, rosy, like terracotta, orangey brick shades, and then we've got some purples. I just think this is a beautiful palette, and I think this would be a wonderful everyday palette that's not just your normal browns, which is why I picked that one. New Year's. Every time I think of New Year's, I think of blacks and silvers. That is my go-to New Year's look. So for that, this is ColourPop Blow and Smoke. This silver in the center is the best silver. I say this every time I pull this palette out, but it is the best silver in my entire collection. It is phenomenal. This is my go-to New Year's palette. Love it. I wish they would make like this same palette, but gold. And I know they did like the C3PO one, but that was not the kind of gold I'm looking for. Like, I want this exact palette, but golds. And I don't know, like, what mattes would you pair with golds that aren't more blacks? But, like, I would be fine with more blacks and, like, taupes and blacks. And then instead of the silver shimmers, gold shimmers. I think that would make an amazing New Year's palette for this coming year because beautiful. Next prompt is concert. And for me, I'm going to do concert. I'm going to go all out. It's going to be green. And y'all know my favorite green palette is my J-Star Blood Money palette. I love the green tones in here. You could dress it up, dress it down, go a little more teal, a little more olive and grungy. Do what you want, what you will. This is my go-to green palette. So if I'm going to a concert, I'm going to go all out. And that's going to be the one that I choose. Now, the next couple, concert and the next 4 were all added by It's Just Steph. So let me grab these 4 here. The next 4 are all seasons. So we're going to start with spring. Spring activities. So for me, a palette that gives me spring activity vibes, which is just like picnics, going to the park, just going outside again after the winter, is the Profusion Ethereal palette. These colors just scream spring vibes. You've got the bright, like, purples, pinks, these blues. This color story just feels so vibrant and just like blooming flowers to me that this one gives me spring vibes. Next one is summer activities. So that's going to be, for me, summer activities are bonfires, going to the fairs, going camping, being outside in the sun and the heat. So for that, I picked my Beauty Creations Kaale Chic palette. These are my warm tone neutrals. This is one of the only palettes I have that has this warm of neutrals that aren't like, this one's orange based, but a lot of these are just really, these are warm. These are so warm, but this screams summer to me. These warm neutrals, like even the packaging screams summer on the beach vibes. The next one, my favorite season, is fall. You have Halloween, you got the spooky season, you got the cool weather coming in, the leaves changing, and for that, I had to go with the Profusion Harvest palette. We've got these more grungy, yellowy oranges mixed with these sagey greens. This palette just screams fall to me. Again, all about the vibes. And finally, last but certainly not least, we had winter activities, which for me is staying the F in the house. I do not like winter. I don't mind the cold at all. I'm a very hot-blooded person, so I love the cold, but I don't like snow. And in Illinois, we do get quite a bit of snow. So I don't leave the house a lot in the winter. But again, snow, ice, snowman, snow angels, that is all about winter. So again, I went more of the bluey route. So I picked the ColourPop Baroque palette. This shade is replaced from the slated ColourPop palette. So that's why it looks a little bit different. But these are more blue-toned grays. And this one just gives me winter vibes of that like dark and dingy, cloudy day vibes. So those were all 15 palettes. Let me know, do you agree with my selection? What would you pick? What are your vibes? Do you agree with blue for Christmas and winter? Please let me know. That is my question. Are you a blue for Christmas and winter? Like, you don't have to say that you would be. I totally understand green and red are number one, but like, do you agree that blue is a Christmas winter color? That's what I'm asking. Let me know in the comments. Please tell me I'm not alone in thinking that blue is a Christmas color, because I don't want to be alone in that. Come on, help me out, guys. But as always, if you want to do this tag, all of the prompts will also be listed in the description box. And anything else, leave in the comments. I'll be happy to talk to you there. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.